Hello everybody, a more rested and refreshed image here bringing you Game 2 of the Shinhan Bank Pro League playoff set between CJ Entus and the Heights Sparkies. This is Game 2, it's Harang 2 versus Movie, and it's going to be on Destination. So, Protoss versus Protoss on Destination isn't a matchup I've seen quite as often as some others, in spite of the fact that Destination favors Protoss over Terran, and enough Protoss do get sent out on it. There's Harang 2 on the left for the Heights Sparkies. It's also pronounced Horangi. I'm probably just going to call him Harang for the rest of the game because that's just easy for me. And on the right is Movie. And this is one of those games where I'm going to feel very excited during the game, but at the end I'm going to have a mix of joy and disappointment because I actually like both of these players quite a lot. 2, 1, and we're off. Yeah, I like both of these players because they also have defined playstyles. Now, who is who? That's Harang in teal at the 5 o'clock position, and Movie is in red at the 11. Okay, there's Harang. He looks very happy to be here. And he should be, because Destination has been a good map to him. He is 8-3, 7-3 on Destination in his previous games, so it's a good map for him. And Harang 2 is at a very high 70% win rate versus Protoss. He's played 10 Pro League games of Protoss versus Protoss, and he's won 7 of them. So statistically, things are lining up nicely for Harang. Protoss versus Protoss is also his strongest matchup. Movie, on the other hand, Protoss versus Protoss is his weakest matchup, though he's taken wins against some of the Protoss greats, like Stork, and some of the Protoss so-sos, like Bako, but Movie is 4-6 in his PvP history, and I think his game is better than that. I think it's just that he has been put up against really top-tier opponents when he was basically the #1 Protoss on CJ Entus during the early stages of this Pro League, when much was not being played and we weren't seeing the likes of NBS either. But Movie's been playing very good StarCraft in general lately, in spite of the fact that CJ's bounced him to the minor league, and I'm actually surprised to see Movie playing in this match at all, because I thought he was in the minor league and he wouldn't be available for the roster, but apparently that's not the case. Gateway and Gas going up for both players. Harang's Gas a bit later, so that he can get the slightly earlier core. But that should not be too influential on the game. I don't think that's quite a build order divergence worth noting yet. Yeah, like I was saying, Movie 4-6 in his previous versus Protoss, but he's played against some really top flight competition. He's played a number of games against Cal, one against Bisu, and so forth. There's a Zealot Scout for Movie as opposed to an earlier Probe, and I'm a little bit surprised with that, but it is viable, though Harang's going to have plenty of time to block his ramp with a Zealot or two. Meanwhile, Scouting Probe is in for Harang too, and Harang, it looks like for the moment anyway, is going for standard play, which is actually pretty surprising from him. Harang has a reputation as being a creative player or a cheeser, depending on how you view it, but Harang has done some pretty creative cheesy play, and I think it's refreshing, and it keeps players on their toes. There's a scout for Movie getting shot down, and I imagine facing Harang, he really wants to know what's going on, so I think he's going to be scouting in more force pretty soon. So yeah, Harang is a creative, cheesy player. Movie, on the other hand, is just balls out aggressive too. He's like Quanro for Zerg players or Iris for Terrans, just a hyper aggressive player, but who makes it work for him to a surprising degree. And I find it kind of interesting to note, as Movie throws down his robotics facility, that CJ Entus has one of these hyper-aggressive players for each race, and they seem to really concentrate those players on that team. And I don't know if it's an attitude of wanting to give the fans exciting games as opposed to just strictly winning that leads to this, but that's the way it is, I guess, and I, for one, could not be happier. Movie, I can't tell if he's looking to expand there or just looking for proxy, for like a proxy robotics facility next to his base, but being very prudent there. Both players now looking to take their naturals, and we're still pretty well in a mirror build situation, so it's going to be interesting to watch the tech deviations later on, or the tech timings. Movie is still slightly ahead on his tech, and Harang has gone observers first, so is Movie. So far the builds are still identical, so things like expansion timings are going to be something to watch. Things like deviations in tech are going to be something to watch, though it looks like both are going 2-gate observers into two-gate observers into expand into reavers. And the early battles are going to be something to watch, because if anyone scores a decisive victory, they can just quite possibly convert it into the entire game. Let's see, more gateways now going up for Harang, and not yet. Oh, okay, there is slight deviation. Harang went 1 gate, whereas Movie went for 2. But now that Harang is going up to 4 gates and Movie hasn't replied yet. Oh wow, I thought Movie took his Nexus way earlier than that. He's fallen surprisingly far behind, considering that nothing has happened yet. I'm a little mystified there. The Movie has got a pretty big army out, so he might be able to put on some pressure, but only if he goes for the base pretty quickly. He's going to take out a pylon of Harangs, and that's going to be annoying, but once those 4 gateways are all pumping units, which really won't be long, then Harang is going to have the military advantage and be in a pretty good position in a straight-up game.